You're going to hear my son in the background. That's a norm for my channel. So if noise in the background bothers you until I can figure it out, because sometimes I just sit down to talk and then I keep on rolling with my day. But sometimes I just have thoughts and I like to share them because they encourage others, okay? So I'm going to share this because there's a lot of things that I have seen recently that are saying, people, you say that people are free to share what they want to say. Of course, that's something I will always stand by. If you can use your voice to talk, I can use mine to talk. Period, right? But there are consequences to the things we say. Why do you think we tell people, pay attention to what you're listening to? Be mindful of what you're listening to, because there are things you shouldn't be, people you shouldn't be listening to because you're drinking or you're receiving from a poisoned well. So be careful, right? Why do you think we say that? Because we're saying, yes, anyone is free to say whatever they want to say, but that doesn't mean what people say is correct. And it plants things within others. And some are stronger than others, but those who are weaker, we don't want to plant things in their weak hearts. I mean, all of our hearts, if we're being honest, are flawed. But what I'm saying is what we say matters, and our words affect people. I mean, look around. If you don't think that this is indoctrination, I don't know where you've been. But let me keep this quick because I know people don't like my long-windedness. Back in 2004 and 5, I worked at a job that I loved, and I was great at my job. I loved my job. But this is when MySpace was around, and instead of doing my job, I was logged into MySpace because I was, I had two jobs, where I was and what I was doing. Like, I was doing two things at once. And what I did was I logged into my MySpace, and there was a nurse that I worked with, and I couldn't stand her. And at the time, instead of being mature and handling it the way I should have handled it, I didn't. And I aired my dirty laundry on my MySpace account. I said horrible things about this person that I couldn't stand, and that was the justification, because I didn't like them, so I could say what I want. Well, my manager pulls me into the office. Come on in, Dinah. Have a seat. I saw on your desk you're one of those Christians, huh? My son is one of those. This is what my manager told me, bro. No lie. And I said, yes, I am. And then she went into my actions. Told me, we saw what you wrote online. You are logged in during company hours. We also saw what you wrote. That's just not what we want here in our facility. You're free to go and try to reapply, but right now you are fired. I got fired for using my free speech and saying what I wanted. And when I left there for a long, long time, I said, oh, that was persecution. Oh, I was persecuted because she mentioned that I was a Christian. No. She mentioned I was a Christian. Later on, when you have time to think about it, she mentions that I'm a Christian. Oh, my son is one of those. So clearly she was not. But she was also exposing how, oh, you're a Christian, but you behave that way. She didn't say that. She never said that. But after careful consideration of my own actions, I was like, you know what? I was on company hours. I could have said anything. I could have went to this person I didn't like, and instead I aired it out for the world. And I got called out on it, and I got fired. And that was the consequence to what I say. Because I am free to say what I want to say. But I don't skate away from the consequences of my words. And a lot of people that I've listened to, I had to stop listening to because I was listening carefully to their words. A lot of people don't listen carefully to people's words. But I listen carefully to people's words. And I also know that my words aren't always going to be perfect, and they aren't always going to be right. But when someone corrects me, I'm going to first apologize if I offended someone, and then I'm going to explain to them, I need work. Thank you for sharing that with me. I will try to do better next time, because that's all I can do. But to pretend I don't do anything and everyone else is the problem, I can't do that. I won't do that. And it's interesting, too, because in some conversations, people will say, you don't have to try to police how people feel. And I agree. Don't try to police how people feel. But then the same people that say you don't have to police how people feel will turn around and try to police you by saying, oh, what we're not going to do, what we're not going to do. I never say that in a conversation. What we're not going to do. I don't say that because I don't tell people what they can and can't do in a conversation. And if a conversation gets heated, then the conversation gets heated. At least we're still conversating. So right, if there's a little heat, trust me, I can handle it. Can you? But I digress. That's not the point of this video. It's just interesting to me because, yes, we can say anything we want to say with our mouths, and we're all going to agree to disagree on some things. But to not realize that there's consequences to people's words, come on. Come on.